call to order this pre-agenda meeting for the Siloam Springs Board of Directors, January 3rd, 20.
Carol.
Here.
Smiley.
Here.
Allen.
We do have a quorum, so at this time, we will proceed. And Administrator Gilbert, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. I hope everybody had happy holidays. Director Wiles, I just spoke with him. He's running about 5-10 minutes late, so he'll be coming in after the meeting starts. Pre-agenda, just we kind of got a busy schedule today. First, before we get started, I'm going to have Anthony come up and just kind of talk us through our new sound system.
These microphones operate automatically, so there's no interaction from you until it's time to vote if we choose to vote with these mics. If you would like your mic voted, there is an ellipses button towards the bottom. If you press and hold that, it should mute your mic for you, but you have to hold it for it to stay muted. Other features from this system is the presentations will no longer have the black screen when we transition between different devices and cameras. That has gone away. And other than that, there's not much other features that will be present, but everything is new and it's working great, and we are extremely happy with the system. Staff is available for any further questions about the system.
Thank you, sir. Ellen?
All right. Getting into the consent agenda. A, regular meeting minutes. B, pre-agenda minutes. And then C is resolution development permit fees. Any questions there? On D and E, those I'm going to have our Mr. Joel talk about it from Jay's Law Firm, just to go over those are the booklets that were tabled last time on the audits. So I'm going to let him address some of that. If you have questions also, feel free.
So we've got the books for the two corporations. These are Oklahoma corporations. Some of you are likely much more familiar with them than I am, because I've seen your names in these books going back some years. But I've spent some time reviewing them over the past few weeks. And there's still a little bit information that we're trying to nail down in advance of the meeting, but the basic gist of it is it appears that the Illinois Water Development Company is basically defunct. It does not own, as far as we can tell, it doesn't really own any land anymore. That was all conveyed to the Siloam Springs Water Resources Company, which was formed back in 2011 or so, 12. And that is the company that's operative going forward, that, you know, with the park, the water park, and maintaining the water resources for the city. The Illinois Water Development Company, I anticipate that we're going to advise that be dissolved here within the near future, as it is sort of a vestige of things and activities that are no longer being performed or needed. But like I said, we're trying to confirm that is the case. There's been a number of attorneys and people involved over the years, so we just want to nail that down. The reason why the consents in lieu of an annual meeting have been done is that is allowed under the new bylaws that were put in place back in 2011, and it's allowed under Oklahoma law, and it's a little simpler, but there's no requirement that it be done that way. If you want to hold a meeting annually, typically there would be 2 meetings as a formality. There's the meeting of the shareholder, which for the Siloam Springs Water Resources Company, that's the trust or the water authority, Siloam Springs Water Authority, that was set up as a public trust. That's effectively the shareholder, and then the shareholder appoints directors. The directors, right now, I think there are 2 directors that are appointed. The directors hold a meeting, and at the directors' meeting, they appoint officers for the corporation for the coming year and review any business, ratify actions that were taken by the officers during the previous year. So that can all be done with a consent, a written consent, as long as everyone signs off on that, but it doesn't have to be that way if that's not, if you'd prefer to actually have the meeting. And typically that would be around one of your first meetings of the year would be immediately after or immediately before a city board meeting. So I think that's, if you have questions, I'll take note of those and we'll try to get any answers back to you.
Also, I'm sorry, those books will also be available if you want to come by and review this week all the way till next Tuesday's board meeting. Will you be leaving those with me, Joel? Or you need
Yeah,
that?
I can do that.
So those will be here if you want to review. Is there any questions? Moving on. F is approval of GRDA financing of AMI meters, $862,661.56. Questions?
I did have one question on that. So that will take care of all the meters we need at this point?
As far as I know, yes.
Perfect.
Contracts and approvals, reduction of master's street plan right-of-ways, University Street between Washington and Hyco. No questions. Moving on to H, budget amendment, solid waste division, purchase of ProPack 2R 185, 2 Ram baler, marine balers, shredders for $303,230. And Jason's here to answer any questions if you have any there.
Jason Davis, Public Service Director. Do you guys have any questions on this baler that I can answer for you? This baler, what we're asking for right now, will meet the needs that we're needing. We may potentially be coming to you later in the future for a second one, but right now we just need this one to get us going in the direction that we need to go. So,
As you can see, this was out for bid, and it came back with the one that was chosen. We've had some directors go out and visit and see the issues that we're having with the ones in place. There was going to be a significant concrete cost, but Jason got with Public Works. They're going to be able to come in and help us with the concrete work to help us with savings. So I appreciate them working together on that.
absolutely.
Any questions there? Okay.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
thank you, Jason. We went over that and you kind of hit on it, but this is a cool deal.
Yes,
And what it's going to do, to me, we should be up here doing backflips for this thing.
yes.
But we're just kind of saying, oh, here it is, we're going to do it, and it sounds good. We're looking to the future, but this is awesome.
Yes.
Compared to what's happening today and where we're going to be with just one.
Yeah.
And even if we were to go with the second one, what it could do from an income standpoint even, and being able to utilize your employees without having to double dip, so to speak.
Absolutely. If we went with two, it would absolutely, obviously, it would almost quadruple what we're able to do right now. I've said this before, and I'll go ahead and say it again for the board members and the few that weren't able to come out and visit. The most we're able to do in a day on our cardboard is around 18 bales a day, and with a system like this, we could do just about 18 an hour. So it is something that's going to change the direction as far as how we process and handle materials at the sanitation department. With, with having two, what we could do would be able to run cardboard in one room and plastics, aluminum, and steel in another room. I would love to have two, and I think two is needed. Honestly, I just didn't want to seem too greedy and come up here and ask for a lot of stuff. But what I would like to do is get this one in and see what we're able to do, and then start working toward the future and looking at another one in the other site, is my plan.
Jason, if I may, the board, this is a new company. This is why this baler's a little bit cheaper. I think if we wait too long, the price could rise. Because a baler of this magnitude is usually around $600,000, $700,000. So I was pretty happy when we found this one, but it's a new company getting their name out there. Am I correct on that?
Yep. So Marin, Marin's been around for a minute, but as far as making balers and what they do, this is kind of the new concept, the way I understand it. Marathon balers is the Cadillac of balers, okay? From what I understand, one of the guys from Marathon kind of went over to Marin and copycatted everything that Marathon is doing, which happens a lot in the industry, especially in the trash industry. So this baler that we got quoted for the $300,000 is significantly less than the one that when I called Marathon to come out. Marathon came out, gave me a quote, and it was 600 and I think 600,000 and some change. I don't know the exact number, but double for what one baler cost versus what we could get for two if we went that route. So
The reason we're even talking about this is the directors that had time to come out, they saw the workers having to lay down on the garbage in the floor to feed the baling wire in there, and it's pretty much unacceptable, to be honest. And again, a couple of the board members said, you guys need two. So that's the only reason we're even discussing this, which, we can go into the meeting. Just keep that in your mind that we may be coming back in the near future once we get this one installed moving forward. Because right now, we're at minimum revenue. If we even made any last year, Christina, I'm not sure. If it is very minor, our goal, our projection this year with the changes we've made is $500,000, is we're hoping to generate in revenue. So it's a big jump. Now, again, that's a projection if things continue to go in the direction that we hope with the changes that have been made.
right. And to give you an example of why we think that, a lot of the material that we were not baling in-house, okay, was going outsourced, and we were getting the full revenue for it. Again, aluminum, we were getting like 24 cents a pound. Us doing it in-house, we're getting like 66 cents a pound. Plastics, because the baler that we have, we can't really feed the plastics and get them up there properly. So we were having to send those over to ADC, and we were only getting half the revenue from those sales of the plastics. So for us doing in-house, we would now get full sale of the plastics instead of half. So those are some of the reasons why this makes a lot of sense and why we're going to be profitable moving forward with a baler. And would double our production and be able to increase recycling throughout the city, which is what I think we all want and would love to see. So we could easily, and I've said this before, we could easily double our recycling efforts in the city of Siloam, but we don't have the capabilities and the manpower. Not so much the manpower, well, it is the manpower, because when you have a baler that you're having to feed so slowly, stop the baler, get out, tie it, 3 people working back there, I can put more bales out. One person I could have doing this getting 18 an hour versus 2 or 3 people doing, 18 a day. So you do that with 2 balers, now you're looking at 36 bales an hour. So it's
Mayor?
Yes.
Jason, would you also tell us how this is going to be able to grow with the city of Siloam Springs?
Absolutely. So one of the reasons why I was excited about this company has 2 motors on the baler, all right? So the theory with this is, I can slow down production or speed up production with this baler. All the other balers that I've ever worked with, and I've been doing this a long time, has been a single stage type motor, right? You can slow the belt down a little bit. This one's got 2 independent motors. So if I get really busy and we get a lot of cardboard and I really want to kick up the speed, I can kick in this other motor and then I can really get it hooking and going. It's really neat. It's the only company that I know that does this. So as far as growth, we'll be able to keep up for a while with this. Now, again, with 2 balers, we would be able to sustain growth, I think, for the next 15 years easily. With 1 baler, we'll be able to sustain what we have, but we won't be able to continue much growth with the city of Salem as far as recycling.
Other questions or comments?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Jason, I don't mean to put you on the spot, and I hope I'm not. Is there a easy way for you to project with 1 baler based on how we do things, what the revenue would be, say, for next year, based on the past, and then also project what it would be with 2?
So to
I
answer
don't- you
your
don't-
question, yeah, that's such a hard question to answer because the markets could be really high at one point, then really low at one point. Like right now, cardboard's pretty high, which is
Right, so based on current
current
market,
projections.
could you have something for us by the meeting? And says, okay, if we buy 1 baler,
I could.
based
yeah.
on what we did last year in 2023,
Yep.
this, we're gonna make $500,000. If we had 2 balers, we would make this amount of money. And the reason I'm asking, I mean, I would love just to get 2, especially if we can get 2 for the price of 1 and get ahead of the game. But if we can see something on paper
Sure.
and say, even though it's estimating speculation and we don't know what the market's gonna do, I understand that, but based on trends, if we were to get 1, next year we're gonna make this much money. 2, we're gonna make this much money, and then we could even extrapolate out cost savings in manpower and things like that, which I'm not really concerned with at the moment. But if we could just at least see
I
the
think yeah,
return on
that-
investment for 1 as opposed to 2.
I could definitely put those numbers together for a good ROI.
If you could do that
Yeah.
easily enough, I'd like to have that by next meeting if we
Yeah.
could.
Absolutely, I can make that happen. That's no
One
problem.
of the things too, Director Wiles, is if you visited, like last time I was there just a couple weeks ago, the cardboard was almost to the ceiling all the way in the back. Because the baler takes so long, you still got to have the cardboard coming in and the recycling, because once you get caught up, you could be stagnant for a little while until we get more recyclables in. But he'll be happy to get you the numbers. But just keep in mind, we should be able, because I think before, Jason got there, the way, a lot of them hadn't seen that concrete floor in years because it takes so much time for 2 or 3 people when you're only doing so many bales a day.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, we're bringing people in on weekends. I actually had somebody come in this last weekend just to bale cardboard. I mean, it just takes so long to bale cardboard with the equipment that we have right now. It's extremely outdated and, for those that have been out there and for those that don't know, there's one side that we do cardboard in and the other side that we're doing all the other materials in. Okay, so right now we're having to kind of put up a little bit and we have employees like Bobby or whatever, they'll go out there and try to bale and he'll actually hold a broom and walk up the belt to keep the plastics to go up the belt because it won't feed up it. So if that gives you an idea of what our other baler is like, that's what we're dealing with right now.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
According to this letter from Marin, it looks like 6 to 7 weeks at least for, 8.
36 to 38 weeks.
Okay, 36 to 30, so 9 months, is that still the quote on turnaround time?
6 months is what they're projecting for me.
Closer to 6 rather than 9. Okay, someone's not very happy. Okay, and then who maintains? And do we have any estimate on the cost of maintaining?
Maintenance on it? Maintenance is really easy on this one. This is another reason why I like this one. This is the only baling company that I can find that has the grease cert hoses on the outside of the baler, okay?
Okay.
Everybody else has them inside. They're a pain. You have to take the machine apart to actually work on it. These have them on the outside. So you can get your grease points right there. That was one of the things when I wrote up the spec that I wanted. This one also has an adjustable shear blade, and that's something that I've never had on a baler before. The shear blade actually cuts your product whenever you go to pack it and bale it up. Most shear blades, when they wear out, you just got to replace the whole thing. With these, you're actually able to take it out, and they've got new shear plate pins that you can put into the baler itself. So it's a pretty intense baler that they've created. Obviously, a $300,000 baler, they've got it set, they don't have one just set in a warehouse. They custom build them for us. So,
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
So Jason, the machine is $303,000,
Yes,
but
sir.
then the machine that we're replacing, there is an aftermarket where we could possibly sell that?
yes. A couple ways we could do it. We could either put it on Gov Deals and sell it that way, or we can reach out to some of the local, Cramelot's actually a local business, you know, they're in Springdale. We could contact them to see if they would like to purchase one of their old balers back. But yeah, there's a magnitude of people that, yeah, we could easily sell it. That's not gonna be a
Do you
problem.
have an idea of a pricing, like $50,000 or $40,000 or $80,000 or?
Each or together. If we got two, if we were to get rid of both balers, again, these are old and wore out, I would say we would be somewhere around 30,000 apiece.
60,000.
Maybe. And I'm just guessing there.
Okay.
It just depends if somebody wants one bad enough. And
I'm looking forward to your ROI then, if you would also put in the selling
sure,
of those, because, wow, that looks pretty.
yes, sir, I can do that.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry, anything else? We're going to move on to, Jason, you again, to letter I is the contract for solid waste division fleet buyback program for 5 sanitation vehicles for $340,013.04. Any questions?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, read.
would you kind of go over that for us? and
Absolutely.
Tell us all these good benefits that we're not
Yes.
talking about here.
I am super excited about this. So one of the things that we're working on right now is looking at the front load trucks. I know I've talked about this. I know you guys are probably tired of hearing me talk about this, but this is really exciting for me and for the city of Siloam. Everybody here knows that when we dump a dumpster, one of the biggest complaints that we get is trash that comes in behind when they go to dump it. Kind of, the trash dumpster comes up like this, the truck's like this, stuff gets in between it and falls out. It's a mess. With two of these trucks that we're wanting to lease and purchase, will be a front load truck, so it'll pick the dumpster up, bring it up on top, dump it, and bring it back down. So I don't have to worry about someone getting hurt out on route like I did before. I don't have to worry about a mess being made on the ground when they go to pick it up. We'll be able to do twice as many dumpsters in one of these trucks with just one person versus one truck going out with 2 people. This is a game changer for the city of Siloam, and I'm very, very excited about it. We're going to be able to do so much more with the sanitation department with the purchase of these trucks than what we have been previously. One of the trucks that we're looking to get also is a residential truck, and what it is, it's an auger-style truck instead of a packer truck. I purchased these in Fayetteville. I was one of the first ones to go full scale with the auger-style truck in Fayetteville, and since then, they have used Fayetteville as an example on these style trucks. What happens with these style, when you go to pick up the dumpster or the trash can residentially, currently it just comes in, dumps, and it packs, right? With this truck, it's got a giant screw inside of it. So the trash grabs and it macerates the trash and turns it into like just fines. So when we bring it back to the shop, currently we have to dump it into a truck to transport it to the landfill. Well, we got to pack down that trailer and do all these fun things. But with this style truck, what'll happen is we're getting 7 to 10 tons on the current truck. With this new truck, we'll get it close to 14 to 15 tons. And it's all just, we can dump it straight into the truck. We don't have to pack it. We don't have to do anything. So it's going to save our equipment, our manpower, time, more on the route. Very, very excited about it. And the company that we are going with, would like to go with anyway, New Way, AME, is actually offered to buy some of our vehicles back at an extremely, I consider a very fair price. Talking with Armenta in the past on what some of the trucks have gone for, this is twice as much as what she was predicting from past sales. So I'm very, very excited about it. So.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Reed?
if you would talk concerning the fleet buyback and how that is going to operate for us.
Sure. So what we're offering is a 2-year lease program with the company. Every 2 years, we have the option to either purchase the vehicles or we can continue the lease, and they would just bring us 2 more vehicles back for that 2 years, and we would continue that lease and basically have a brand-new truck every 2 years. They would purchase the truck back from us for what we owe on it, and then give us another one if we chose to do it that way. Or we could just purchase the trucks at the end of the 2 years with a balloon note payment. So my thought was to start with the lease so we could get some good trucks into the city of Siloam, try to purchase a few of them through budget, and continue the lease on a few of them, and to kind of stagger them out throughout the years until we get a brand-new fleet back into the city of Siloam. So what we're asking for the lease for the year is what we budgeted for 1 truck to purchase, and we're getting 5 vehicles for that. If that kind of gives you an idea of how good of a deal I think this is, and on top of getting another 100,000 back with the buyback, so we're actually 100,000 under. We can just apply that to the loan.
Other questions? All right, thank you, Jason.
Thank you guys so much.
Moving on to letter J, the Police Department. I'd like to announce our new police chief, full-time, started January 1st. Congratulations to Chief Miller. But he's going to come up. Yeah, very excited. And I think I told you before, first chief that's been promoted in 25-plus years internally. So I'm really excited for the direction of the police department. But he's going to talk about body-worn cameras, $628,200, and he's available for questions.
Madam Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Scott Miller, Police Chief, Siloam Springs. We're coming to you, we're asking for approval for a contract purchase with Utility Body Worn Inc. For 42 in-car camera systems, 52 body-worn camera systems, and the accessories that go with it, with a total amount of $628,200. This is over a 5-year period. We're wanting to break this out over a 5-year period, with the initial payment being budgeted in this year's budget for $255,000. The department's current system was purchased in 2016, has become very outdated and no longer serviced because they were bought out by Motorola. And so they're no longer producing our current system or providing support to it. This new system is also coming with what we call a CAD integration, as the central dispatch, automated dispatch integration, which kind of takes the human error out of our camera systems. Right now, as you guys know, because we've talked about it or other individuals have talked about it, whether the cameras are on or off or get turned on or off, that is subject to the officer remembering in a high-stress incident to get out and turn that camera on and turn his body-worn microphone on at the same time. This CAD integration system takes the human error out of it. The CAD integration system integrates with our dispatch center and our central automated dispatch software, meaning that when they implement that 911 call or call into the system and they put that address in there, it creates a geofence around that address. And what that does is when the officer gets response to that call or that location, as soon as he gets within that geofence, it automatically activates both his car camera and his body-worn camera. So the human error of having to turn that on is no longer there because the system will do it automatically for him. And if an officer, what we refer to as self-deploys, meaning he wasn't dispatched to that call, but he responds anyway, as soon as he gets into that system or in that geofence, it automatically activates his in-car camera and body-worn camera and then ties all those camera footages into one case file, so we're not having to search to see who went there and who didn't go there. It also provides officer safety information to us live. If an officer was to go down, an officer down type situation, if an officer goes vertical for any more than 10 seconds, the body-worn camera activates an alert that sends a GPS location to all the other devices. Instantaneously, it creates a live feed so we can see what's going on with that officer live while it's going on, and alerts the rest of the team that that officer may need help in that time frame. This is the only system out there that is fully endorsed by the NAACP as being a fully citizen-friendly, transparent system, meaning it's all locked down from the time the video is captured. We can't edit it. We can't do anything with that system. The chain of custody of that digital evidence remains solid all the way through the time of capture to the time that it goes to court. And this system with utility this price also includes all of the data storage. It has unlimited data storage, so it doesn't matter how many videos we take, both on the body cameras or the in-car cameras, the video, it's unlimited storage, where our current system, we pay monthly for that storage, which is becoming quite costly because of the amount of data we produce. With that, I'll be available for any more questions.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. I was going to ask you about the storage. So the total cost is $628,000. How long is the storage for? Like all of eternity? Because I know the storage can be huge and costly, like you said.
It's unlimited as long as we stay with the utility body worn. Obviously, if we transfer to another system, like we are going to have to pay a certain dollar amount for storage of our current WatchGuard video data, just to store it and have access to it. With them, they store it for us whenever, for however long. If we go away from them, they will continue to store that and give us access to it for a minimal amount of money. But obviously it'll still cost, or we can transfer it to a new system, but it's pretty costly to do that.
So is there like a membership fee kind of thing? I mean, because the $628,000, isn't that for the equipment itself?
No, that includes all of the equipment, the in-car cameras, the body-worn cameras, holster sensors, the licensing fees, the CAD integration, all the warranty stuff, and the data storage.
Thank you, Chief. Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
K, ordinance 23.
Can I interrupt for a second? I'm sorry. I just got a text from a citizen that says the volume is bad on the pre-agenda, can't hear again at home.
Work on that and get it fixed. I didn't hear you, Chris.
I'm sorry? They can't hear it.
Perfect. We'll work on that. That's our first test. We'll be ready by, any questions there? This is our third read. L, ordinance 23-33, third reading, amending City Municipal Code, Chapter 54, Land Use Code, Significant Development Definition. Questions? And then M, ordinance 23-34, it's a third reading, vacation utility easement, alleyway, 800 block of East Jefferson Street. And N, ordinance 24-01, it will be the first reading, vacation of utility easement, 816 East Main Street. Then O, ordinance 24-02, first reading, amending section 102-21 of the City Municipal Code, rezoning from C2 to R4, 4290 Sherry Whitlock Drive. Any questions on any of the ordinances? Okay, moving on to resolutions. Resolution 02-24, significant development permit, 816 East Main Street, retail grocery store. Staff's available for questions if you have any. Moving on to Q, Resolution 03-24, significant development permit, 1450 Sherry Whitlock Drive, Fire Station 1. Chief Kreiner's here for any questions if you have any. Okay, moving on to R, Resolution 04-24, preliminary plat development permit, Siloam Station Addition, 3861 Highway 412 East. No question. You guys are making it easy on me tonight. I like that. Then we'll move on to staff reports, November 2023 financials. And then T, administrative report. Is there any questions you want to go back through the agenda? If not, we'll move on. Good. Our discussion tonight is going to be about gasification. Before we go there, I just want to touch on a few things. Ms. Barbara should have gave everybody a copy of board rules and procedures. My plan going forward, what you have is you have the 23 version of what you signed, and then there's a cleaned up version. One of the things that we found when we were revisiting this was actually in the minutes, I can't remember which board member brought it up, there were some grammatical errors. You guys actually signed the ones that weren't corrected. So we went ahead and we've fixed the grammatical errors, and we've made a couple additions in there. It should be highlighted on your page. We're going to remove the election reference. Some reason, I don't know if it was copied and pasted in there, but it says any judge or election return and the qualifications of its own members. That just shouldn't be in there. So I removed it. The second, and what this is, I just want you to review this. It's not going to go to the board. And then once you have time to review it, if you have any of the discussions or additions, we will come back at the next pre-agenda and discuss it, make any of the additions or subtractions. One of the other things that was on there was the change the mayor's veto. I think it was put in there last year of 5 days for veto. That does not follow state law. And so we had to move it back to follow state law, which was 3. So that correction was also made. Barbara, did I miss anything in there? And I appreciate Barbara, you know, she's going through this stuff thoroughly and helping fix these things, so I appreciate her. Any question there? But you have time. I just wanted you to have a couple weeks to look at it, to see if you want to change any procedures. As we go forward, if we can get it done, we can get it in the budget meeting at the end of the month. If not, it'll be the first meeting in February. But we'll discuss that further at the pre-agenda meeting. Okay? So you have that.
There were 2 changes, and they were highlighted?
Yes, ma'am. There was, one is just changing, going from 5, in the old one, it was 5
Right.
veto, and then the other one, if you look at section 1, organizational meeting of the board, I don't know if it's highlighted on yours, it's on mine, it's just, it talks about the body and judge the election returns and qualification of its own members. That just shouldn't be in there.
Okay.
The board shouldn't be doing that. The questions there, okay. And then utility commission appointment. We had 2 candidates apply or put applications. Only one candidate met the requirements, the one candidate. Hopefully they'll reapply. They're a new resident. They haven't been here a full year, so it doesn't meet our requirements. So it's Miss Cammie. It will be coming to you for a vote. That's where we're at with that one. And then, again, I made a note, it's not on yours. Travis sent me just a conceptual design today. It's what we talked about at last pre-agenda. You were given 3 options. Ms. Barbara will email that to you probably today or tomorrow for your review. During pre-agenda, we can't vote or really, you can give me guidance, but we can't vote on anything. To see what conceptual, which way you want to go. I think it was the 228, and then there was 181 and 161, if I remember. Don't hold me to those numbers exactly. Well, there were some different things that we could take assessments out. But if you can give me guidance as we go where we're at with that, so I don't have to, Travis and staff don't have to redo the memo or anything like that. Is anything to add on that, Travis? We're just looking for guidance there, where we can get this started. Any questions there? Anything from staff before we get into gasification? All right, it's up to you, Jason.
Jason Davis, Public Service Director. So I'm very, very excited about this, just being able to talk to you guys about this. I've asked Wendy Bland, she's with the Benton County Solid Waste District. She's the director for them. So she'll be here, and I'd like for her to maybe say a few words after I get done with the presentation to kind of let you know why I'm looking at this and why I would like for you guys to consider this moving forward. How do you get this set up?
Are you guys hearing Jason pretty clearly? He's low over here to me. I'm just trying to get our mics good. You guys good with it? All right.
Where's your play button at on this? Perfect. Okay, gasification. Let me introduce you to what gasification is and what it's about. Incinerating garbage is a commonplace practice in most countries, and the added benefit of generating energy while doing it only makes sense. The only problem is that burning trash emits various toxic chemicals that can pollute the air and lead to ozone degradation and applied to on a massive scale. However, that's all changing with new technology promising cleaner waste-to-energy generation. And the coolest of these technologies has to be the plasma gasification process. So essentially, the plasma gasification process, also known as plasma arc gasification, works by creating an electrical arc between 2 electrodes spaced apart. Pressurized inert gas is passed through the arc and diverted to a sealed container of garbage. Temperatures inside the container can reach 25,000 degrees Fahrenheit within the arc column. Some of the things that this gasification can take, almost anything. I've not found much of anything that it can't take. It can take tires, it can take styrofoam, plastics, medical waste, oil, landfill waste, furniture, sludge, coal fines, appliances, you name it, you put it in this, it's going to burn it. So the way it works, the trash goes inside the top in an inlet, okay? You have the plasma torch down there, it heats it up in a canister like a pressure cooker. And what emits out the top is known as syngas, okay? So at such high temperatures, matter is literally broken down into basic element forms in an inert gaseous state. And the synthetic gas is commonly known as syngas. It's harvested for similar to natural gas, such as running turbines and electric power stations. So it goes in, it burns, the syngas goes in, gets cleaned up, and then you could then turn it into power, steam, other liquids as well. This is an example of how one gasification center would work. The trucks would come in, it would get loaded into a bay, it would go into a fueling station, drop down into a gasifier. It would get turned into raw syngas. The syngas would get cooled by water. That steam would then go into another turbine to generate power. And then the syngas that is cooled down would go into another gas turbine and create electricity as well. So you would have two different turbines creating electricity, one out of steam and one out of the gas that the gasification center makes. The carbonation and volatile part of the feedstock is gasified into syngas, while the inorganic compounds and polymer are melted into a form-like gas structure called slag. The slag has various uses and contributions, such as raw materials for tiles, road construction, landscaping, and other things. Other options include a charcoal with more refining. So your byproduct from your trash, the things that just can't get burnt down to nothing, you have a slag product. It's glass is what it is. So this slag can get turned into several different things. I mean, you can turn it into base for your roads. You can turn it into pavers. You can turn it into, when you're at Walmart or Lowe's and you see your gas furnaces out there with the little glass chips in it, things like that, that's what this can get turned into. So what we're hoping that you're seeing is that we can turn everything from a waste to energy, a zero waste facility, okay?
Jason, I'm sorry. Again, I see it up there. It also, did you tell me it could be based into, or made into a coal that we could?
It can also. You can also do a charcoal as well. It'll take a little bit more refining, which means it gets cooked again, but you can turn it into a charcoal as well. The nice thing is having the railroad company right where we're at, we'd be able to load into that as well. So several things that we can do with this. It's not just ash or whatever that a lot of the incinerators have. You actually have something that you can use for your byproduct. I use Fayetteville, again, because I worked there for a long time, and I know what they're coming up with. But they generate around 350 tons of municipal waste daily. Siloam generates 100 to 150 tons daily. I would reach out to other companies and cities to have a 500-ton to 600-ton cap of solid waste with a charge of $35. I just threw that out there. I really don't know the numbers yet, but I just wanted to give you an idea. A ton. The city would generate around $17,000 a day times 5.5 with a half day on Saturday. That would be around $93,000 a week in municipal charges that we would collect, which pushes us at about $400,000 a month. Then we would also be putting power back into GRDA. I'm guessing around $140,000 a month that we would be feeding back, that we would get back from GRDA, which would put us at a total of around $545,000 a month and for this operation that we would collect. That is not including any of the sale of the slag that we would get as well, depending on what byproduct that we would create out of that or what we would want to sell it as. I don't have a number for you on that. Estimated cost of the gasification is anywhere from 30 to 50 million, with an annual revenue of 6 to 8 million, not including the sale of slag or charcoal. With this large scale, we would get multiple agencies on board, as well as ADEQ and the Boston Mountain Solid Waste District. We'd have to hire a firm as well to help us with moving forward with some kind of study to figure out how much land we need, where we could put this at, what the sales would be, all that fun stuff that comes with it would be necessary if you elect for me to proceed with looking into this. Wendy, if you don't mind, if you'd come up here and like to say a few words about what you know in Benton County and what's going on.
Thank y'all so much for letting me speak to you. We appreciate Jason's leadership in this. The Solid Waste District Board is made up of elected officials from around the county. Most of the mayors themselves participate. And then we also have a couple of delegates that are, for instance, Jason, for the city of Siloam Springs. So the board, we did a massive 10-year needs assessment plan in 2022. And one of the identified needs, obviously, and you've heard a lot about it over this last year, is the need for some sort of alternative disposal facility for solid waste. We identified in our needs assessment that one of the ways to do that would be some sort of waste energy facility. gasification, as Jason said, is the type of facility that we were also, advocating for. The board had identified and kind of made into a strategic plan. I apologize. I have had this allergy situation going on. I'm so sorry. But the board identified the different, through the needs assessment, the different priorities that they wanted to place on it. And in 2022, they chose to kind of postpone and put down to the more moderate level of urgency the solid waste facility. Obviously, that's been changed over this last year with the challenges that we've had with Ecovista being, having some permitting issues. So Judge Mooring is the board chairperson, and he has advocated and will be, pushing this throughout 2024 as one of our main priorities to be working on. And so I was very excited when Jason was saying that the city might consider looking into a feasibility study for it. The facility, as he said, would not be able to take all of the waste in Benton County, but what that does do is it, relieves some of the stress, especially for this west side, to have some of the waste, move to this facility and then potentially look for another modular facility similar to what you might build on the east side. And so that does give us some great opportunities. And I'll answer any other questions you might have, but that we also, as a solid waste district, which is all the elected officials, as I said, from the district, that they have identified that as one of the priorities and one of the most needed, facilities in Benton County and in Northwest Arkansas, quite frankly. Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I have a few questions.
Absolutely.
What you answered, one, the slag you said could be sold. I did see on the picture recycling ashes. What-
Yeah, so this one is a rudimentary picture that I kind of drew out here or got off there. That's nothing that I would worry about. There will be some ashes with this, obviously, but it's not very much. And then what we can do with that is basically just keep kind of feeding that into the system.
Okay, all right. You were mentioning all the things that can take, does that include like paint and hazardous materials that
Yes, ma'am.
typically need to go
Yes, ma'am.
over to
Yes,
wherever
ma'am.
that is? Cool, awesome. What about the payoff period for it? Based on your numbers, it looked like 6 to 8 years?
That's what again, without having a good study done, this is just Jason math, and take it with a grain of salt. But if you're generating $6 to $8 million a year with that, is what I'm guessing. Your payoff would be, depending on how much it cost, again, I don't know without having somebody come out and actually do a study for us and finding that out.
One of the things, if I may, Jason, when we looked into this board, we're projecting 30 million, but that could be higher, it could be lower. We won't know until we get the study, but we initially started looking into this project. That was the initial numbers that we were looking at. So, that 6 to 8 million is based off that 30 million number.
Right.
And we're give and take a few more million.
Okay. I love the idea of the whole thing and the potential to lower electricity rates.
Right.
That would affect every single citizen, and especially in today's world, where finances are a difficulty for the majority of people. So I'm excited,
Yes, ma'am.
but I would like to know, what are the downsides? And I don't know if you or Wendy, I mean, there are always going to be downsides to everything.
Sure. I mean, I will have to obviously hire quite a few people to help run this facility. That's one downside that we would have to do. Obviously, we would be making that money back and being able to pay the employees. To be honest with you, I've been in the solid waste field almost 22 years, and I have been pushing this gasification center for at least 10 years in Fayetteville. Fayetteville, to be honest with you, they don't want, they hear gasification, they think incineration. And most of you may or may not know, but several years ago, there was a big thing with the incinerator. They actually purchased one, and it bit them in the butt because they didn't do it the way they were supposed to. I'm not going to get into all that, but they don't want to hear it because of that. Has nothing to do with what it is, but they don't want to associate incineration and gasification. They are completely different animals. This is a zero waste to energy facility is what I'd like to promote.
So there aren't other cities looking at it, and I
So
guess.
actually there
wha-
is. There's Chico County is the one that is breaking ground right now in Arkansas. There's not a municipality that's done this yet that I'm aware of. I think, and Wendy, you may know this, there is a few that are looking at doing this through. Yes. This is huge on the East Coast. This is huge down south and west. It's just, it really hasn't come up here to the Midwest and the area yet, so we're,
Just for your information, on Friday, I'll be meeting with some state representatives that have reached out to me that are very supportive of this, and they're trying to get it in their hometowns.
Okay.
So there are some other municipalities actually in the corridor looking at doing, this is what I was told.
So if we do it, and you talked about we could potentially take Fayetteville's trash or whoever's, if
Oh,
other
yes.
cities start it, and our figures are based on taking in others, how will that affect us if all we're doing is ours?
So
Is that-
what we would do, what I would try to do is I would get with Wendy and we would focus on Benton County first because we're in the district. So we would want to work out some kind of contract with them and get their trash and cut them the price that we would feel comfortable with the market. The thing is, there's not going to be one downtown. There's not going to be one across the street. This is something that, once we build it and get it here, there's not going to be a reason for somebody else to build one, if that makes sense, because of the cost of it up
Right.
front, right?
Jason, is the cost lower to do this? I know we discussed it, but I can't remember. Would the cost be lower for other municipalities
Yeah.
to come here instead of going to a landfill?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I
So that
mean,
would be their,
not just that, but when you
and just
go.
being green.
Like, you take Fayetteville, for example, right? They have the transport trucks that they hire a company to come and do that. They spend right about $1 million a year just to have it transported to the landfill, okay? That company, the reason they don't want to haul it themselves is when you take a truck to the landfill, and when we deal with this because we take our own trash, not in the volume that Fayetteville does, but there's tire issues, there's mud issues, it's not, when it rains, it's dangerous. It's not a good place to go. If we can avoid that, we can give them a tipping floor to come bring their trash too. They're going to come to us. It's the reason why people bypass the landfill now to come to Siloam to dump their trash, because they don't want to dump it in the landfill. It's dirty. We have a floor. This will be the same kind of concept. So,
Okay. It sounds fantastic. I mean, better for the environment.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I said, has the potential to affect positively every single citizen. I'm 1,000% for moving forward
Okay,
and
great.
making it a priority.
Okay,
So,
fantastic.
thank you.
Absolutely.
And Mayor,
Yes.
I do have some questions.
Yes, ma'am.
So I want to look at both sides. I love the idea. I think I've already told you how I feel about it. How does this affect recycling? And when we look at cost, we do make a little bit of money off, well, we are planning on making money off of recycling. How does this affect the recycling program? And
That's
I
up to
mean-
you. We can continue recycling just the way we're doing it right now, or we can put it in the gasification. I mean, it really, it would be your decision on how we want to move forward with that. So,
And as much energy as it needs to process, to go through this, how much of that energy are you taking to process it that you, because I know you said that some of that energy goes into GRDA, but how much of it,
that's a
have
good
you seen
question.
other facilities that, because it takes a lot to process. I
Sure.
mean, when you look at the pressures and all the,
Yep.
everything that's going on, that's a lot of energy.
Sure. I'll say this, there's not, again, if we were to move forward with this, we would be one of the first ones in the area to do it. There's not a lot of places I can go and tour and find out. I know that it's picking up a lot of steam and people are wanting to do it. And I can't imagine that they would be wanting to do it if it wasn't profitable enough for them to want it. Again, without really getting a study going and figuring these things out, I can't answer some of these questions.
Right.
I know Chico County is very excited about it. I got the 30 million because that's about what they had to spend for their gasification facility. Now, they signed the contract a while back, and, you know, it may have gone up significantly by now. It's hard
Are
to
they
tell.
operational? Chico County's operational right now?
No, they're breaking ground right now.
They're breaking ground?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and that's the other question I have is because you think of the pressurization and stuff like that, and you think of all these factories that come in that have the safety. What's the safety of that?
Honestly, I've not heard anything negative about these gasification centers. I've done a lot of research on it, and I've not found any of one of these facilities that I've had anything that's been catastrophic. Yep. It is huge overseas. Japan solely does gasification, from what I've been told and looked into. They're huge into it because it is a waste of energy, and they're making money and creating energy out of the waste. So
I just wanted to know. And ROI for a government under 10 years is unheard of hardly.
sure.
So to have an ROI at that low, 5, 6, 7 years is great. And
Yeah.
so I think it's
And that's what kind of, to me, it makes sense for Siloam Springs because we operate our own electric company. That's not the case with every other city. So for a lot of these other cities, when they look at gasification, that doesn't really think for them because they don't have that to offer to their citizens. Siloam does. We're unique in that way that we can offer that. So for me, it makes more sense for Siloam Springs to do this than any other city to do it. So.
Madam Mayor, go ahead.
Oh, wait.
Well, I do have a question, I think related to what Lisa just said about the safety of it, a step further, health concerns. I mean, are there any long-term studies on any kind of health issues that may come as a result of,
Well, you got to remember that you're not releasing this into the atmosphere.
right?
Like when you go to Tulsa and you see all that coming up, you don't have that same thing with this, okay?
Right. Which would seem that it would be safe,
Right.
but have there been these long-term studies that have,
I've not seen anything on this at all because, like I said, it's more like a pressure cooker that's contained and it's going down into it. If you want to get down to the nuts and bolts of hazardous jobs, solid waste is always in the top 5 and has been for the last 25 years.
and I would be concerned about the safety of employees, but also, I mean, just even the term gasification, not knowing much about it, even though it's pressurized, it sounds like it may be something that's coming out,
Sure.
into the environment,
Sure.
and is that a concern?
No, they have a clean tank, okay?
Okay.
So, if you'll look over here at the picture, it gets cleaned up before it gets transferred down into the next stages. So that syngas that's going in there gets cleaned up and goes into the turbine before it to,
That's going to take some property. That's a pretty big facility there.
again, that's what we need to find out.
And so I understand the revenue would be based on kind of the service of incinerating for other places, but also the sale of some of the products that are made. And you talked about electricity and materials for roads. And I guess I would just be interested in knowing what some of our city staff that deal in those departments know about, or would have to say about something like that, you know?
So I've actually talked with Phil in the electric department.
Okay.
And Phil, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but GRDA was actually excited about the possibility of getting that. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And then have we ever, for our roads, used any kind of
Not that I'm
product
aware
that's
of.
related to this, but it's something that we could?
That's something that we would just have to dig into and look at,
Okay.
to be honest with you.
I've got an idea. If you'll send me and Jason to Japan, we'll check it all out.
Yes.
over there.
Absolutely.
I don't know, they just
I'm
had to do
totally
that plane
kidding.
crash.
You guys can go with me.
Okay, I think, I appreciate the work that you've put into this, and it sounds like something that could be promising, but it also sounds like something that we would definitely want to do some sort of feasibility study on.
Absolutely.
Since it's very new territory.
Yes, ma'am. I totally agree with that, 100%. Yes, ma'am.
Reed?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In looking at this, to me, it makes good sense, and I would look forward to seeing it. But without this, we're looking at doubling in population.
Yes, sir.
So Fayetteville would go from 350 tons a day to 700. We go from 150 to, what, 300?
Yes, sir.
And if the landfill decides it's time to shut down and we have nowhere to go, to me, this is a proactive movement. Do you feel like, even if we started today, is this proactive, or do you feel like we're kind of behind even right now with what could happen?
So my very honest opinion is I feel like the area is very behind on this. I don't believe that Taneytown will ever approve any more cell expansions. So with that being said, this one that's being built right now is still, Taneytown's still fighting it. They're still fighting this cell being built. It's got maybe a 10-year lifespan on it, okay? So that's my worry, is what are we going to do in 10 years if Taneytown decides that's enough, we're not going to do any more. The trash has to go somewhere. And we can either haul it out of state, or we can try to figure out how to be proactive and deal with it now. Because it, unfortunately, is something that every single person in this room has to deal with is garbage. We all generate it, we all got to take care of it, and we got to figure out what to do with it. I would rather see the garbage get turned into something that is beneficial, other than just burying something and forgetting about it and have our next generation deal with it.
In Chico County, what is their, I mean, they're breaking ground. When do they expect to be operational?
That's a good question as well. I've been reading so many papers and trying to figure that out. I don't know. They haven't really said. I don't know if they're, I'm not sure on that. Everything I've read about it, they got permitted to do it, I think, last year, and they're supposed to be breaking ground, or I already have broke ground on it. I haven't been able to find a contact for Chico County, because that was one thing that I was wanting to do, is get with them and visit with them and see what their thoughts are. I know they're looking at around 500 ton a day limit as well, and what their thought process was with the 500 ton day limit. My thought process is I'm afraid to compete with Waste Management. So 600 tons was why I was thinking that. Because I don't want to build this facility and then take everybody's trash and then Waste Management build one and cut our throat, and then we're not making any money. So I was trying to be as strategic as I could without making the big dog mad, if you will.
Do you?
Go ahead.
One more question. Do you think, I know you don't have an answer, but if we were to start today with feasibility studies, getting this ready, do you think 5 years we could be operational?
Honestly, that was my prediction, was 5
Okay.
years. Yes,
That's
ma'am.
the
Yes,
right question. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Carol?
I just like the idea that we're being proactive and we were looking forward, because we're always going to have trash, not less, but probably more.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I think we need to find a solution, and I appreciate you being proactive.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. One great thing that this also has, tires cannot go in the landfill, and I'm not sure if you guys know why it doesn't go in the landfill. It's not so much that they don't break down. A whole tire will float up to the top. It creates the gases that get stuck from the methane, the tire will float up, create a gas pocket in the landfill, and then whenever a driver goes to push trash or whatever, it could collapse, and that's the problem. With this, we don't have to worry about it. We can throw it in there and it'll take care of it. We don't have to worry about tires anymore. Tires are a big thing that everybody hates and no one wants to deal with. I know Wendy and them have tried to figure out tires and where to take tires. This is something that we could take care of. So this is a big thing that will help in a lot of areas, not just in the trash, but the things that we don't think about every day, like tires, like paint, like syringes, like medical supplies. Those types of things.
When we started looking at this, and there's been some great questions by the board, was a lot of it, it's like you're saying, Director Smiley, it's just being proactive, trying to get staff. forward thinkers. As we lead, let's not think about today or tomorrow. Where are we 5 years from now, 10 years? I see us possibly doubling our size. That even means more trash. Me and Jason have many, many conversations over this. I don't remember if I asked you this, what are we spending yearly just on transporting trash?
Oh, gosh, I know it cost us about $1 million. I'm not sure on what we're spending on transporting, but I know the disposal, I think, is around $1 million.
And that's because if you've been out to our facility, they come in, it doesn't matter if someone brings stuff on a trailer, it's our garbage trucks, they're backing in to the building, they dump the trash, then we pay someone to push that trash into a truck has to back down, they push the trash on top of the truck, we have to pack it and do everything we have to do there, and then we pay someone to drive it all the way to the landfill. And I don't know, Kevin or Bobby can tell me how many trucks a day, but it's a lot. So I was thinking anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million a year in savings by just not transporting to the landfill.
We would guarantee $1 million just because we wouldn't be paying the disposal.
So over a 10-year period is 10 million. So we've been asking, and that's what we'll do as we go forward, if you're interested in this, is to bring you information, more information before we jump all the way in there and possibly, looking at other sites, because there are other sites around the country.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Betsy has a question.
One thing, will you email us the slides for this?
Sure.
Thank
absolutely.
you. And another aside, just the toxic stuff. I know everybody doesn't drive over to Benton County to take their paint and all of that stuff, so just the idea that toxins will not be going into landfills.
Absolutely.
I'm not volunteering to send Alan on vacation to Japan.
Come on.
But you had mentioned the East Coast, other areas of the United States. It
So-
might be worth it for you to go visit?
So one great thing, and I go to this every single year, is the Waste Expo. It's a huge event. I mean, it takes me, every year I go, it takes me 2 days to walk the floor. Okay, it has everything to do with trash and recycling in the industry, equipment, gasification companies and centers around the world will be there. I definitely plan on going to that. It'll be in May. So I'd like to reach out to some of those. And there's going to be all the different companies and municipalities and different governments and private sector haulers will be there as well. So it's a good time to sit down and meet with other people and talk about that stuff. So I was already planning on going to that as it is, and I'll be able to get a lot more information from some of those people as well. So what I would like to do is with the board's approval is start looking into getting a firm together to look into a feasibility study is really what I was hoping that we could accomplish.
One of the things
Can we
too,
call it
board,
something besides feasibility?
That's a scope of work.
Hey.
Yes, sir.
one of the things we're thinking too, there's millions, even billions of dollars in grant money out there for clean energy.
Yes.
So we think, by looking into some of these grants, that would offset a lot of the cost. But again, we won't know to apply. We just know there's grants, because trash is a problem everywhere. It's across the world.
Yep.
And I think through looking through gasification, I've been studying it and just picking his brain over all this is just a good way to get rid of any, because I was out there. What can we burn? Anything. What about this steel? It can burn. I just think it's a
It's really neat.
great thing. Looking forward to
Yep.
it.
And like I
Thank
said,
you.
it's a plasma burn. It's not just a regular burn like you have in Tulsa. That's the big difference.
Thank you for bringing this and for your excitement and enthusiasm and innovation and
Yes, ma'am.
something that'll help every single person.
Thank you.
That's-
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You have something?
Yeah, I just want to make two statements. If the people in our past wouldn't have, the directors in the past wouldn't have done the electricity like we do, we wouldn't be known as the city that we are known for.
Absolutely.
And we wouldn't be as large as we are, I don't think.
Absolutely.
And so, because they did take initiative and they did be proactive about things, we are where we are today. And I think a project like this, I'm excited, and I hope we do move quickly if we decide to go that route. Would help fund a lot of things in the future for our community, because right now, we are going through hard economic times. We have a lot of people that are having difficulty paying their rent, paying utilities and stuff like this. And this would only help those people, individuals on many levels.
Absolutely.
And so I'm excited that you're bringing a project like this.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, there would be, depending on how the study goes, you know, what they would determine how we would treat our citizens of Siloam. There's several ways that we could do that, whether that be lowering the electric bill, lowering the trash bill. I mean, there's so many things that we could do.
Anyone else?
That's it. Jason, if you would, just make sure they get copies of the slides or
Absolutely.
anything else you'd like to add.
No, I'm excited, and I'm glad that you guys are excited to look into this. I've worked with Bobby here for over 20 years, and he's heard me preach this for probably 18 of it, that this is the way that we need to start looking into. And I'm glad that you guys are open-minded enough to want to look into this, and I really feel like it's going to be something that'll put Siloam Springs on the map, and I feel like we would be leading the pack as far as clean energy for the state. So I'm very, very excited about it.
Thank you, Jason. We'll continue to bring information forward to you as we get it, and I'm sure we'll have a couple more presentations and getting you all the information we can. If you think of questions, please email me or, email Jason directly with those questions and just CC me. And again, we want to get you all the information possible. Is there anything, Chris, that you have from staff, anything to report? We got a few minutes. Is there anything, just community development side? We'll be bringing some ordinances and different things to you over the next few weeks. We're trying to clean up a lot. We appreciate Chris and his staff working with a lot of builders, trying to make a lot of positive changes. And we have done that. We have some things that are being reviewed by the law firm right now that we hope will make things easier.
And I think some of those I'm looking at some different ordinance amendments and also some internal policy. We're reviewing some policy that's being challenged, and I have to review that internally, review that with the director. So I know that some of your constituents have reached out to you about some of our internal policies and stuff, but we are working on those. It just takes time. We have to go through revision, then approval of the revision from the administrator, then the legal review. And that all takes a little bit of a process, but we are working on those. I know that there's a little bit of grumbling about some of the projects that are going through right now, but we are working on pushing some stuff forward. There's going to be some positive changes to our development processes, so that we're pretty excited about.
Excellent. Anything else from staff? Other than that, board, just thank you. We're excited about 2024. I'm looking forward to working with everybody and just working together, going in the right direction, because it's so much easier when we're all on the same side of the rope and not on each ends of the rope. And I feel like we're there. Staff is excited. We're going to do some really good things in 24. I feel really good about it. And looking forward to working with everyone. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you very much. So, directors, any last questions or comments from you? If there is not, I'll wish everyone a happy new year. Thank you all very much for being here this afternoon, and we are adjourned.